Hi everyone! Welcome back to the Midwest Stitches YouTube channel. My name is Danielle and this is my channel where I talk all about my crafting adventures. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2025, and it is the first episode of the new year. Happy New Year, everyone! I hope you had a great Christmas, a Happy New Year, you got some crafting in, whatever that was for you, and you enjoyed whatever time off that you had with your friends and family. Or if you were by yourself, you just enjoyed your alone time. I know I did. All of the above. Okay, so technically it's only been about a week or so since I posted my last video, but that was recorded on December 22nd, as I said in that video. And it took me about a week to get it edited and uploaded, and that was just, you know, with Christmas and everything going on, and I didn't have the desire to sit down and take the time to edit it, so it took me a little while to get it up. So what you're about to see that I have laid out here, finished objects and works in progress, is a culmination of, what is that, 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks worth of crafting time, and I was off of work, so I obviously had extra time in there. So there's a lot to go over, so let's jump right on in to all of the things. I'm super excited to share everything with you. We have some knit and crochet, or no, we only have knit today. We only have knitting things to talk about. So let's jump right on into that. You can find me on Instagram at midwest.stitches or on Ravelry at Midwest Stitches. That's where you'll find all of my knitting and crocheting project pages and any notes that I have in there. And if you ever have any questions about any of my projects, and maybe I forgot to include some of the details on that page on Ravelry, because sometimes I do forget to add stuff, like if I've made changes or counts for stuff like my socks, for example, I always forget to put like how many rounds I did, or for the cuff or the leg or whatever I might have done. Sometimes I don't always put those on there because they're like second nature to me, so I forget to do that. Just shoot me a message on Instagram if you have questions, or comment on that finished object, or even in Ravelry you can shoot me a message there if you have questions about something that I might have done, if you're working on something similar or whatever. Just send me a message one of those ways and I'll be happy to help you out with that. Okay, I think that's kind of all of the administrative intro kind of things. So let's jump right on in. I'm going to start with socks. I have finished quite a few pairs since the last time. These are not finished in any particular order. The pairs I showed last time that were half finished, what I did was I sat down and decided, okay, I have 3 half finished pairs of socks from the month of December. So I decided, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to start with one, finish that second sock, and then move on to the next pair, and so on and so forth. And then I wound up with 3 finished pairs of socks. So that's what I did, because I'm kind of in this like whip down mode, if you will, because I have quite a few things going right now that I'm working on, and I kind of want to slim down what I'm working on as far as smaller projects, and get some things off of the needles or off of the hook, and kind of pare down what I'm working on and what I'm giving focus to. So that's why there's a lot of old finished projects, and I haven't really started a lot of new things. So we'll talk about that. But anyway, first up are these socks. Here we go. Love these. So this pair is Candy Castle, and this is from Stitchin' with Yarn. So I knit these. I knit all of my socks. These are for me. My nose is itchy. I knit all of my short socks like this, if they're for me, on 2mm needles, 64 stitches. There's my dog coming down the hallway. She's coming over to say hi. Hey girl, lay down. Here's her tail. So So these are knit 2mm needles, 64 stitches. I do 8 rounds for the cuff, usually 4 or 5 rounds for the leg, and then I start the heel flap and gusset. So that's what I did for these, and yeah, I'm super happy with these. These were my birthday cast on. My birthday is December 13th, and like I said the last time, I thought they looked like chocolate cake with frosting and sprinkles, and I love them. So now I'm super happy to wear them and put them in the sock stash for the winter, because it has gotten very cold here. We got a little bit of snow. What was that, last week, I think? We got about maybe half an inch to an inch. It was a lot less than we were supposed to get. We were supposed to get like 6 to 12 inches, so that was very disappointing. And yeah, but it's cold here. It's like in the 20s. There's been a couple of days that have gotten down into the single digits. So socks, hand knit socks are definitely needed right now. All right, let me put this next pair on the blockers. And these are all for me, by the way. I don't know if I said that the last time, but I have been in the knitting for me mode. So my next finished pair are these guys. This is Legacy Fiber Arts micro sock set in the Grinch colorway. And I have my lights on today because it's a little cloudy out. So this is, back here is the accurate green color. It is a very bright green with this pink kind of speckled through it. And it did come with the pink mini. And these are knit exactly the same as the Candy Castle socks. All these socks are knit the same, so I won't repeat myself on that one. But yes, happy to have these done. And I actually have quite a few Legacy Fiber Arts micro sock sets for various. I have some Halloween ones that were from the show Wednesday. I can't remember the other movies that some of the other ones were based off of. But I have some Grinch ones. I think I have 2 more that are Grinch movie themed. I think one of them's Whoville, and I can't remember the other one. But so I think I'm gonna do that every Christmas and we'll see. I have a bucket. I have 2 buckets of Christmas yarn, but pulling out at least one of these per Christmas, or maybe for Christmas in July, and knitting one of them up. So, love these. All right, my next finished pair of socks are my Freckled Whimsy Advent socks. So here they are. They are not a matching pair, as you can see from the stripes, because that doesn't bother me at all. I know some people are very, very intent on their self-striping socks matching perfectly, and I don't care about that. So for these, I used a contrast color for the heel. This is It Cake from Granite State Yarns. And like I said, these are Freckled Whimsy. This was the 2024 Advent skein called Merry and Bright. And it is a very bright, Merry and Bright rainbow color. So I got these done. And I think I had enough left over I can add into my scrap bag. So each of these had enough left over, or more than enough left over, I could add to my scrap bag, which I'll show you shortly, because I brought that over to talk about with my Advent blanket. So there's those as well. Those are all my finished socks. We're not done with finished objects, but those are my finished socks. And something I wanted to mention that I did recently is I had a bunch of finished socks that I hadn't worn, that I'd made over the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so, that I had just kind of put away, and I never washed them. So I don't wash or block my socks with like wool wash or anything special when I get done with them. I just basically take them and I either give them to the recipient, or for me, if they're for me, they go in my sock stash, wherever that might be, and I just pull them out when I want to wear them. But I noticed here recently, when I started wearing my hand knit socks, especially when it got cold over the last couple weeks, I was reaching for the same ones over and over again. And so I kind of pulled them all out and I looked at them, and I realized the ones that I was reaching for all the time were the ones that had been washed. And so what I did was I pulled out all the ones that hadn't been washed, and you can definitely tell which ones have not been washed and which ones have. And the reason I gravitate towards those ones that have been washed is because they are softer. So even though all of the yarn that I use is generally a 75-25, it's a sock yarn, you know the drill. It's soft when you knit with it, but it's softer when you wash it. Like just one wash in the washing machine and drying it, they're so much softer that I want to wear them more. So what I did was I pulled out all of the ones that had not been washed yet, threw them in my washing machine with a couple color catchers because some of those colors were very wild and I did not want them to bleed together. So that's another tip. Make sure you've got a box of color catchers from the store. It doesn't really matter which ones you use, in my opinion, just as long as you have some to catch those dyes. And washed and dried them like I do all my other laundry. I don't do anything special with them. And yeah, now they're softer and I know that I'm going to wear them. So that's just a little tip from me to you. So that's what these will go in the laundry to be washed when I do laundry next. And then I will put them in my stash. Okay, so next up we will talk about some cotton yarn finished objects that I'm excited to show you. So first up, oh, and before we get into these next things, if you hear some noise in the background, Adrian is in the garage, which is right below here. He's doing some sanding and woodworking stuff. So I will try to see if I can edit that out, or I know there's like a background noise reduction button on iMovie, which is what I use to edit my videos. So, but if you do hear a little bit of that, that's what that noise is. Anyway, so I finished my second and last dish towel. So here is the finished dish towel. So the last time I showed it, I was still working on this side right here, going up the side, and I actually finished this last week, I think, and I'd gotten to the point where I was doing decreases at both ends, so I just sat down for like 2 days. I worked on this a little bit each day for about 2 days and just finished it off. And yeah, I can add this to the other one in our dish towel drawer. And I will say, the other one that I made, it's in the rotation now, and I think Adrian too, we really like it as kind of a dish drying mat because it's so thick that it works perfectly for that. So it stays a little bit cleaner because you're just putting, you know, like there are certain dishes that we wash by hand, pots and pans, our knives, certain cups, things like that we don't put in the dishwasher, so we wash them by hand, and these make excellent dish mats. So if you've got a big cotton yarn stash that maybe you're trying to work through, definitely recommend this. And I just used a tutorial. It was for a baby blanket. I think I have it linked in previous videos, but it was just a corner-to-corner baby blanket that you could either make a square or a rectangle, and I just followed that with cotton yarn and just, you know, did it that way instead of a blanket. And with that, I had shown in previous episodes that I had 2 huge cakes of this Bernat Handicrafter yarn, and that's the white or the cream color that I used there. So when it was all said and done, because the brown and gray in that one were some scraps left over from previous cakes of yarn, I still had about, 50 grams, I think, left over. So what I did was, let me grab it and show you. So what I did with the leftovers is I made this cup cozy. So this is all out of that Handicrafter leftovers. And this is an extra large cup from our local Scooters that we kept and I've washed to put like my own iced coffee or whatever in. And this is one where it's enclosed at the bottom. So for this, I did not use a pattern. There are probably patterns out there, I'm sure. I'm super happy with that. I think this wound up being like 29 grams, something like that. And then I still had a little bit of yarn left over, and I don't know why, I was so determined that I was like, I'm going to use up every last scrap of this cotton yarn that I've had forever, except for tails that I had to weave in. I was like, I'm going to do it. Don't want to leave any yarn to waste or to the trash. I don't know why. It was just silly, but I had this bee in my bonnet about using it all up. So I wound up making a little tiny one, a shorter one. So just to give you a comparison, on this cup, it's about half the size. So this would be good if you had like a small size coffee or cup. So yeah, there's that one. And this one, I don't know how well, yeah, you won't be able to see it at all, but the cotton yarn, the cream colored one went to about here, and then I had actually some white that went here. You can see it. It's a little bit more visible in person, but not a lot, but that's okay. And I basically made this the exact same way. So that cotton yarn is completely used up. That was very satisfying to do. And yeah, I'm happy about that, to have that out of my stash, because that had been around for, I could not even tell you how long at this point, at least 5 years, because we've been here for 4 years and I had it before that. So it's been around for a while. Then my next cotton finished object, I just finished this morning. I finished seaming it together, is this guy. Look at that cute dishcloth. So this is, I love that so much. So this is the knit shaker dishcloth pattern from Very Pink Knits. And that is a pattern you have to purchase. It's only $5, and I think I've said before, when you purchase it, you get so many options in that pattern. It's well worth the $5 if you like this look, which I do. And this one, as you can see, is a lot, there's my hand, I'm trying to hold it up against my hand, but it's actually quite a bit bigger than the Tunisian crochet one that I showed the last time. So I'm very, very happy with this. This was the one I talked about where I had started on a different needle. Like I tried a couple different needle sizes, but I finally settled on a 2.75, and I think you can see that the holes that I was talking about in the previous one I made are a lot less prominent. It turned out so good in my opinion. And this is the version without the picot edge. And I tell you what, once I did a couple segments, I don't have to look at the pattern anymore. It's amazing. Like I finally found my groove working on this yesterday, because I finished this up yesterday. So I had 2 segments done. I hadn't pulled this out since the last episode to work on this. And I decided, okay, I want to finish this. I want to see how much yarn it uses. I want to see how it looks. Am I going to stick with this? Because I have all this Knit Picks Dishy that I want to use up, and I love this pattern. I love the look of it. So I wanted to see, is this going to be the one we're going to stick with? So it is. I'm very, very happy with this. 2.75 millimeter needle, Knit Picks Dishy, and I followed the pattern exactly, but I did change 2 things on this, or I changed 1 thing, and then the next time I will change 2 things, and I'll tell you what that is. So here, right here, this is my seam, and it looks pretty good. Like you can't really tell the difference, but on the back, it looks like it blends in really well with how the segments are joined. So this is my seam, and what I did, because I've tried the Finchley graft on the other ones, I've tried Kitchener on one of them, on one of the Tunisian crochet ones, and it just did not go well for me. I don't know if it was the other yarn I was using or what, but this one, what you just saw, this is the Russian grafting method, and oh my goodness, I love it. I will be sticking with this. So if you've never heard of Russian grafting, you can use it pretty much on anything that you need to graft 2 pieces together. The seam of a shoulder for a tank top, the end of a sock toe, which I've done that before. And what it does, you can't really tell on this because it blends in with everything else, but what it does is it basically, you're crocheting them together. You're single crocheting pretty much the stitches together. And I have a video on my channel of sock tips and tricks, and I actually demonstrate the Russian graft in there if you want to see that. Or you can look up, there's a ton of YouTube videos that you can look up by various people that demonstrate how it joins two pieces together. So you can use it for a variety of things. And the beauty of that method is you don't need a long tail to weave it in, because you start at the opposite end without the tail, and you basically, you're braiding the stitches together, and you end with your stopping point or whatever is at the end with the tail. So you only need a short tail that you pull through and then weave in. It's pretty awesome. I'm definitely going to keep using it for this and keep going that way. So that was one thing that I changed, because the pattern does call for you to Kitchener it. So the second thing that I'm going to change when I do my next one is the start of it calls for the provisional cast on with waste yarn. I did not enjoy, for some reason, I don't know, it was different with this, undoing that provisional cast on. In this one, it was not very fun for me, so I'm gonna stick with Stitch Saver for that. There is a video from Laura Nelkin on how to do the provisional cast on with Stitch Saver that I love. I've looked at other videos and they do it a little bit different than she does, but I think her method is the best one in my opinion. So if you just look up how to do provisional cast on with Stitch Saver on her channel, it's awesome. So I've used it for this and for my Advent blanket, and I absolutely love it. Why use waste yarn and have to pick up stitches when you don't have to? So I definitely recommend that method. So this one's done, and I will tell you that this weighs just under 30 grams. So that is good information to know. So that tells me that I have two balls of every color, two of the red, two of a bunch of other colors, and then the swan color, the cream color, to go with it. So out of the two what am I trying to say? Out of the two color and then the two swan, for every single color I have, that's what I'm trying to say. My light is going out. Out of those colors, I can get roughly 12 of these. So there are going to be so many dishcloths like this. And then I will have a little bit of leftovers of each. And I think with the leftovers, I'm actually going to make the coaster size pattern. At least one to see how much yarn it takes. Because I love those and I think they're so cute. So hopefully I will be able to use up all of that yarn. I'm happy to have this figured out, because my goal for this year, which I think I talked about earlier in December, one of my goals for this year was to work through this Knit Picks Dishy stash and make a bunch of these. And yeah, so hopefully I can do like one of these a week. That's kind of my goal right now, is to do at least one a week, you know, because I could do like 2 segments a day, because there's 12 segments. And you know, if I do one a week, I can get 52 done in a year, technically. So, and I love the drape of these. I wanted to say that too. So this is much drapier. Like, look at that. It's so awesome. Versus the other stiffer cotton yarn. So if you've never tried Knit Picks Dishy, there's a reason that people love it and use it for various projects. It's very, very nice. I love it. I'll definitely be using it in future projects. If I ever need cotton yarn for something, it's worth ordering it versus going with like a sugar and cream, Lily's sugar and cream, or peaches and cream from Walmart, those kind of ones. And it's basically the same price, or a little bit cheaper in my opinion, and it's better quality. So that's all of my finished objects technically. But now we're going to get into my Advent project. I technically have a kind of finished object for my Advent blanket. I finished my second strip. So we're just gonna, that's the wrong side. We're just gonna run through here. This is the top. So there's the top. And there we go. So as you can see, I've obviously not attached this yet to the first strip. I'm going to wait until I have my third and fourth strip done. And then I'm going to seam them. And I think I'm going to have to order more yarn to do that. So there's that one. And that'll lead us into works in progress. So I just finished my third strip, at least the color blocks. And right now I have it on one long needle. I am working on that white border for the one side. So I have 2 rows done of that, and it takes, I'm doing 10 rows or 5 garter ridges for the white border. And I have this much yarn left, so that actually uses quite a bit because I'm holding it double. So I don't know if I will have enough for seaming. I don't want to risk running out of yarn in the middle of seaming the strips together, so I think I will have to order more of this. So we will see. I think I'm going to use up this ball of yarn and see how much I can get out of it, and then I will order more and then do the seaming of those strips together. And I did count. I think last time I said I have no idea how many stitches you have to pick up for that, but for mine, the way that I did it, I counted today. I actually added it all up before I picked up the stitches. It's 276 stitches that I pick up along the edge for my strip. So that's quite a bit to knit, but it's lovely. I'm still in love with the project. I cannot wait to see it grow with scraps over time. I'm super pleased with it. I cannot say that enough. After all of the waffling back and forth at the beginning of December and finally settling on this, it's been great. I love it. So with that, I actually wanted to show you, I have enough yarn in my scrap bag, and these were leftovers from my socks, these are all enough to make one whole strip more. So I will have 4 strips before I put this away. And I'll have 4 strips, I'm going to seam them together, and then I will put this project away for the year. So I'm super excited to continue working on that. My goal would be by the end of January, I will have all 4 full strips completed and pieced together. So that's exciting. I'm very excited to see it all put together and do all that kind of stuff. So, all right. And my only other work in progress, I have not worked on my grandpa's socks. I'm going to focus on those later in the month to get them done. My goal is to get them done by the end of January, which I think is completely attainable. And my crochet Hexi blanket, I have not worked on that. I think I have a different battle plan for how I want to attack that, and I'll probably talk about that the next time. It's still going to look the same, but I think I'm going to do the construction a little bit different with the joining color. But again, I'll talk about that probably the next time when I show it. And then my crochet granny square blanket, it's almost finished. So I don't have it up here, it's downstairs. What I did was I finished the leftover yarn that I had, and I decided, I was looking through my old finished objects, and I had, if you recall, if you're a longtime viewer, you'll have seen my crochet granny shawl that I made, I think it was a year or 2 ago, out of some sparkle yarn from Lofty Loops. It was a trio called Sanderson Sisters. I never wear that thing, and I know that I'm never going to wear it, and I knew that, so I just decided instead of it sitting here and getting no use, I decided to frog the project, the completed project. And I was like, I'm just going to hold these double and add it to this blanket because I know that blanket will get used so much more, probably all the time. The only problem I had with that is at the very bottom of the shawl, I could not find the end that I wove in on the last row to save my life, and I could not unpick that color. I tried so hard to unpick it from another angle, and so I wound up losing basically the entire third color on that. So that was kind of a bummer, and I just threw it away, but whatever. I at that point I was already in it. I was already halfway frogged from like the middle out. So it was just, yeah, I'm just here. We're in it, and it is what it is. So I just went with it and just called it a loss and moved on. And now those colors, 2 colors, are being added into my blanket, and I'm not quite halfway done. And there's like it's like 2 100-gram skeins that I'm holding double. So I'm hoping by the end of the month, this month, to have that completely done and those colors added in, and the blanket will officially be done. I'm not adding any more colors to that blanket. But those had a lot of Halloween colors in it, and those are Halloween colors, so I figured they kind of all go together. I did have another sock cast on that I want to show you that I'm going to now concentrate on over this long weekend that I have coming up. And it's another Christmas yarn, but it's in this cute Grinchmas bag that I've had for years, that I've made myself a couple years ago. And this was my Christmas Day cast on, and I'm using this amazing yarn. This is Lump of Coal from Deep Dyed Yarns. And I do not have very much done with this one. It needs lots and lots of work. So I literally cast on and did 1 round. So this is the first sock. So it needs lots of work, but again, these are going to be short socks for me, so they go pretty quick. I can get a pair done in less than a week if it's like the only thing that I'm working on. So that's my plan. So next time you will see these most likely as a finished object. My plan for the rest of the month, that's all my projects, by the way, but my plan for the rest of the month is to finish these socks, finish my grandpa's socks, which I have over here, and finish the granny square blanket along with my advent blanket. I'm definitely in work on what you already have cast on mode. I'm dying to cast on other things. I have a lot in my brain that I want to cast on, another blanket, for example, but I will probably cast that new blanket on and show that and talk about the pattern and all that kind of stuff when I get it started, once the advent blanket is done, because I don't want to have another blanket going along with this one. I mean, this one won't be done, but I can put it in hibernation until next Christmas, so, or until I get more scraps to add to it. That's all of my finished objects. That is going to be all for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you for being subscribed to my channel and tuning in, leaving your comments, all of that good stuff. And if you aren't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button. And if you like this video, hit the like button so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And I will see you guys next time. Take care and God bless. Bye!